Downtown Business Club, hosted by the Downtown Improvement District.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Downtown Business Club. We're here today again to help people understand how you monetize various creative businesses. And we have a panel here today that we have some practitioners, artists that have actually understood and figured out how they monetize the business of art. And most know that it can be rather difficult to make money in that field, and they've done a good job of getting that accomplished, along with co-starters and Artlink, Dan Ross, Amber Foster, Terry Ratliff, and Diane Gronert. So we'll get started here, and there's all kinds of opportunities to have these types of businesses, and I think it's important that we share that knowledge, and they're here to help do that. So thank you very much, and we'll start with Dan Ross with Arts United.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you for the opportunity to talk to you just a little bit about what's happening in this community. I'm here to really set the context. Arts United is an organization that supports those organizations and individuals who are bringing this creative activity to our community. And so Amber and Terry and Diane, they're the artists, they're the creators. But I want to give a little context for the environment that we're in right now. Arts United is an organization that exists to support arts and cultural activities in Northeast Indiana. We've been around for about 60 years. We own and operate facilities. We provide funding. We provide business services for several of our arts organizations. The buildings that we own are the Arts United Center, the Hall Community Center, where Cinema Center is located, and recently, about 4 years ago, we purchased the Our Center for Arts and Culture. So this community has chosen to invest in facilities to create an arts campus on Main Street, and I think that is a really significant statement about this community and the investment that it is making in arts and cultural activity. Again, some of the other things that we do are to provide funding for arts organizations and business services. A lot of the arts organizations that we help support are small businesses, and some of them may have 3 or 4 employees. Hard to get affordable health care for an organization like that. Well, Arts United manages an umbrella health insurance program that 20 different organizations are a part of, so that they can afford to attract and retain employees because they can provide some of those benefits. We also will do payroll services and some financial accounting things, audit prep, 990 prep, some things like that. Again, our goal is to help those organizations focus on creating artistic experiences for this community. We want them to be able to utilize both their financial resources, but their human resources, focusing on their mission-driven activity, with our goal being to try to help provide some back office support for that. So that's a little bit about Arts United. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about some of the cultural planning that's happening in the community right now. And I want to talk specifically about the cultural district. Arts United is one of the managing partners, along with the Downtown Improvement District, Visit Fort Wayne, and the City of Fort Wayne, in creating a cultural district. And that organization got started about 5 years ago now, and in 2012-13 really engaged in a planning process that was a community-wide planning process to see what kind of things would we like to see in our community. And I put a handout back here that it looks like some of you have picked up, but what really came out of that conversation from the community was sort of 8 big key ideas that bubbled up to the top. And those ideas were a creative arts incubator, a public market, create more creative storefront development, exactly the kind of things we're talking about today, culinary incubation, more public art sorts of projects, just more activity in general, and then connecting the hotspots of downtown together. So out of that conversation that came through the culinary, or through the cultural district, as we looked at how can we press go on some of these projects, different organizations have stepped up and engaged actively in those conversations. There's a public market group that has been very actively preparing to try to launch a year-round public market. We have seen the growth of the Weil and I Bar Street Market. We've also seen the Fort Wayne City Market, which has been happening at Parkview Field. Those organizations are looking to come together and create a year-round public market. Jeff Kroll, formerly heading of the library, is now leading the charge on that organization. IPFW stepped up in a huge way with the Sculpture with Purpose project, looking at public art, and there's a lot more conversation about what can we do to make this community look like the vibrant place that it is. So there are additional public art projects that are currently in the works. But one of the really interesting things that ties so directly into this conversation today that came out of that conversation was the desire for this community to have a creative business incubation program. And Artlink was the organization that raised their hand and said, that's right in our wheelhouse, we will take that and we'll run with that. And so Amber is going to talk to you about the Co-Starters program and what Artlink has done to put that program into place. But I wanted to just give a little context for the incredible work that they're doing and how that actually came out of a community dialogue that has been going on for the last probably 4 or 5 years, and it's evolving into action. And I think if there's anything that I want to say about what's happening in Fort Wayne right now that I think is just fantastic, for me, after living in Fort Wayne for 32 years, I feel like these last 5 or 6 years have just been incredible to see what's happening. And I feel like there is an alignment of vision amongst the creative sector, amongst the city, amongst economic development entities, and amongst our corporate supporters. There is an alignment of vision for what this community can be. And when you look at the conversations and the planning that has happened, things have gotten done. When you look at the downtown blueprint and the Blueprint Plus, the vast majority of those projects have been accomplished. And what the city is currently engaged in with their Vision 2020 for Downtown 2020, looking at riverfront study, looking at the things that are happening now, these aren't just conversations and plans that are put on a shelf. These are things that are getting done. And I think it's an incredibly exciting time to be here. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Amber and let her tell you about some things that are getting done. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amber Foster. I'm the Executive Director of Artlink. Artlink is a nonprofit arts organization that exists to support our artist community and link them with the community. That's the simplest explanation of what we do. And we do that through a variety of programs. And I would encourage all of you to come and see me at the gallery for a tour anytime to learn about all of them, because I'm only going to be talking about our Arts Incubator program today to coincide with what Dan introduced. We launched the Fort Wayne Arts Incubator last year, and the flagship program of the Arts Incubator is Co-Starters. Co-Starters is a curriculum that we have bought into that was designed by the Company Lab out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. And they have seen a lot of success with this model for several years. I think they're going on a decade with this model. And they've just churned out an ungodly amount of creative entrepreneurs in Chattanooga. When you think of cities that have really revitalized themselves and experienced a real renaissance, Chattanooga, Ann Arbor, Des Moines, a lot of that revitalization and renaissance centers around a strong creative entrepreneurial sector. And that's what we're seeing. We went to Des Moines with community leaders. Art was the underlying theme of all the great things happening in those cities. So Artlink decided to take this Co-Starters model and bring it to Fort Wayne. What it is, it's a 9-week course that anyone who considers themselves a creative entrepreneur can take. And that doesn't mean simply visual artists. We had a brewer come through last time, Bird Boy Brewing, which is getting ready to launch soon. We've had visual artists, performing artists. We even had a gentleman come through who does meditation with gemstones and essential oils. Anybody that falls into that creative sector who wants to learn how to become a successful business owner. Most startups don't understand where to go to find out what kind of business structure they need and what kind of legal assistance they'll need. Where can they find an accountant they can trust, and what accounting services do they need? How do they build a marketing plan? Who can help them build a website? Who's their audience? How do I identify that? If I have a product, how do I get it to market? All those questions can be overwhelming for a startup, and so Co-Starters helps them answer that. It is facilitated by a professional facilitator who has extensive background in entrepreneurial studies. And then we bring in a series of mentors, other successful creative entrepreneurs already living in the city with successful businesses, and pair them with our Co-Starters graduates. So Co-Starters, the spring edition, is getting ready to start up right now. We have nine people, 9 businesses signed up, a whole variety, again, from visual artists to culinary artists to graphic artists. I even think we have someone who's a performing artist again. And the last time we ran Co-Starters, we had a lot of success come out of that. One of our participants was a cellist with the Fort Wayne Philharmonic, and she wanted to figure out how she could market herself as a freelancer so that she could be hired for parties and things like that. And she had no idea how to even get the word out. So we helped her put together a marketing plan, a business structure, a rate structure. She built a website, and now she's up and running and booked all the time for private events and parties. Bird Boy Brewing, we brought them through, taught them how to think about their business model, what kind of messaging they needed to be using, got their website up and running for them by matching them with a graphic artist who gives reduced professional services for our graduates. And they're getting ready to launch. So we're trying to get the word out about Co-Starters. I think there are a lot of people in our city, a lot of creative entrepreneurs who don't know where to start, have an idea, want to get it off the ground, aren't sure what to do. Maybe they've gone and talked to SCORE, maybe they've gone to the NIC, all these different places they can go. And we're kind of centralizing all of that information into our Co-Starters program. So like I said, it's designed for those looking to start a business that falls into the creative sector. If you're not sure if your business falls in the creative sector, just give us a call and we'll walk you through it. The program is very valuable. Like I said, it's 9 weeks. It is $250 for Artlink members, $300 for non-members. So it really is a bargain, the amount of information that you get out of this. And you'll walk away with a business plan, connections to lawyers and accountants that offer reduced fees for you, ongoing mentorship from your classmates and from Artlink staff and the facilitator. And then as a part of the Arts Incubator, outside of Co-Starters, we do art dialogue talks. So we're having one next Wednesday, actually. I think Terry's actually serving on that panel next Wednesday. That's how to find private and public funding, because there are funding sources available out there for creative entrepreneurs and artists. And so we try and have meaningful dialogues that bring the creative community together to share best practices, because there isn't one main website you can go to find all this information. It's just bringing all the experience together in one room. And again, that's what Artlink tries to do, bring all the experience together in one room so we can all share and collaborate and work together. The third part of our Arts Incubator is an exciting new program we just launched. It's a CSA. So when I say CSA, most people probably think of community-supported agriculture, like a green bean delivery. Well, think of green bean delivery, but instead of getting a box full of produce, you're getting a box full of art. Our CSA is the community-supported art. We juried in 9 artists who are going to produce art for our shareholders. Shares will go on sale April 7th for $300. And for that $300, shareholders are going to receive 9 pieces of original art from local Fort Wayne artists. And we're going to do those in boxes, kind of like green bean delivery. We're going to have big release parties. And what this does, it's a win-win-win for our community. It gets compensation into the artist's hands to produce work. So we're pushing them to produce, and we're also paying them to do it. It's getting art into the hands of the community at a very affordable rate. And there's a third thing, but my medicine brain is not computing what that third thing is. But just as a young person, I can't afford to spend, $3,000, $5,000, $2,000 on a piece of art. For $300, I'm going to be getting 9 pieces of art to start my collection. So I think that this program is really going to introduce a younger demographic to art and Artlink and the artists that live in Northeast Indiana. So that's just another way that we're helping to support the creative sector. And then through our gallery, we also sell artist work. So any artist who displays in our gallery, if their artwork sells, we do take a small commission, but smaller than most of the for-profit galleries. And so we're constantly pushing and giving artists the opportunity to get out in front of the community. And I do have Medicine Head, so I don't know if I covered everything, but I think that's the gist of it. You can find out more on our website, and I did leave postcards for all of you. If you're interested, and you can always email me. I apologize, my business cards have a different name than my name on my name tag, but I swear that if you email the person on the card, you'll get to me. And I'd be happy to answer any of your questions or get you to Rebecca, who is my education director, who administers all of those programs for us. So, and you're welcome to come by any time to Artlink. We are open Tuesday through Friday, 10 to 5, and on the weekends, noon to 6 on Saturday and noon to 5 on Sunday. So, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Amber. We certainly appreciate. Very insightful, Dan and Amber. Also wanted to mention we have question cards there at your table. So if you have a question, please go ahead and write it down. And because we would like to get it on tape. This is being taped. It will be shown on cable access, so we can share this information with the whole community. That's a big part of what we do with these events. So please make sure and get your questions out to be answered today by the panelists. And Terry, if you want to stay seated, or you can come up here. Very good. Well, Terry Ratliff with Rad Art. I think you're ready to go. You can pick it up and just talk.
Okay. They wanted me to somehow depict Northeast Indiana heritage and culture. That's only one part of the mural. The mural overall was about 28 feet wide, and they took donations from local businesses and then put their name on a plaque and paid me very well. It's at the airport. Thank you. That was, I think that was also Leadership Fort Wayne, where they put this on a Monopoly game. It was on board Fort Wayne, and they sold these in Kroger's and Scott's. They raised like $45,000 for local kids organizations. They dispersed it throughout the community. So that was a very, very successful commission. The Rat Pack. That was just a commission for somebody's entertainment or game room. They wanted me just to take the Rat Pack and kind of put my flair on it. And it's just a flower base, abstraction. These are all basically commissions. And that's the same thing. And that's Diane Allen Groner.
It was like living in a little village. Everybody was so friendly and waving and smiling, and Lois right here. Window to window. Window to window, yes. I set my easel up in the window, and people would say how nice it was to see art being made downtown. At that point, nothing was going on downtown. The Chinese restaurant was there. The Dash Inn was there. Not much else was there, but it was nice and quiet. Okay. So in 2010, I moved back down to West Central, moved my studio back down to West Central. The questions they gave us beforehand asked about inspirations. I'm inspired by everyone I've ever met, everything I've ever seen, everything I've ever heard. Everything makes an impression. What do our aspiring artists need to know? They asked in my questions to prepare this for. Okay, they need to know that there are millions of others just like you or more talented than you, but you're not aspiring artists, are you? Are there any aspiring artists here? Oh, good. Well, there's millions of people out there with your talent or more. They're trying for the same thing. So not only do you have to spend time in the studio, but you need to spend time on the street, being your own salesperson.
Amen.
And guerrilla advertising is the way to go. Don't pay anybody else. So the main thing is unless you have a partner who's going to do your advertising for you, you need to do it. And so let other people start families, take vacations, drive nice cars, get drowned in credit card debt. Concentrate on your studio, doing what you love. You don't want to be forced into a job doing what you hate. Let everybody else do that. So they'll fall away and you'll be left. It's very simple.
very simple.
Okay. So, in reading the Art Calendar magazine, which is it's now Professional Artist magazine, they gave me a lot of good hints. First of all, you need a 25-word description of what you do. This is, I think other people call it your elevator speech. So every time you meet somebody new or in an elevator, you give your little 25-word speech, and that increases your audience.
Postcarders will help you with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You have to learn how to sell, and you have to learn how to close the deal. That's very important. You have to accept that you're in business. You're not just an artist, you're in business. So you need to do the things like register your business name with the city. You need to get a retail sales certificate from the state. You need to set up a mini office. First thing, get a receipt book. Who would have thought of that? File folders, a box or drawers to put them in, a bookkeeping system. Now, all you people probably have your bookkeeping system on computers. I don't. I have a little brown thing that I bought at the office supply store that's wonderful. Okay, you need to set up a public relations package. So your 25-word statement, a bio, a resume, a contract, a price list, images, and mailing lists and client lists. All you people that are in business have done this, I suppose. Yay or nay? Raise your hand if you've all done all that kind of stuff. There's 1, 2. Are you guys all aspiring business persons? Oh, good. So some of this stuff is making sense. Yay. Okay, now you need to make the art. Okay. After moving to West Central and looking around, I noticed there was a lot of strong family connections in Fort Wayne. Everybody's brothers and sisters, uncles and cousins was all over the place, giving them a hands up. I just got here. My family just got here a few years before me, so I needed to form a foundation for myself. The first people I met were at the old Fort Wayne Art School, so that was my base of friends. And then how do I get my name out to the public? So I've always painted. I've always sold a piece here and there. But after graduating, I decided it was time to get serious, so I went down to our wonderful library, checked out 3 books on silkscreen printing, and started a tiny silkscreen t-shirt printing business where I was designing and silkscreen printing t-shirts. So that lasted for 25 years. That was a lot of fun. And then, let's see. So when I turned 50 in 1999, I decided I just wanted to paint. In art school, I used architecture for subject many times, like the old pre-fire St. Mary's Church, the old St. Liver Brewery on Lafayette and Spy Run. Most of you kids probably never saw those. So I love architecture. I love the variety and the logic of architecture, and it sits still in one spot. Very important. When on vacation in Maine, I did a painting of our hostess's home, and she was so overjoyed when she received it, she burst into tears. I thought, oh, wow. Put that in my head. So, So I love architecture. I love people being overjoyed at my work, so house portraits, obviously. So I went to 3 friends in the beautiful West Central neighborhood and told them of my plans to do a series of West Central house portraits, and all 3 commissioned me, and I was off. The start of my career. When I was doing Larry Wardlaw's place, his lively personality inspired me to animate his house portrait, and that gave me my niche and my 25-word art statement, which is I attempt to insert a bit of the personality of the owner into the house portrait using color, perspective, and line. Some are more animated than others, which is actually 2 sentences and 27 words. But that's my line. So I've done about 150 house portraits, and not just West Central. I have them all over the states, outside of West Central, of course, and all have been commissioned except for 2. I used to be kind of shy and wallflowery and realized I had to change that, so I developed another part of my personality, which you see before you today. Okay, when I had studio in downtown, I decided, and our real revitalization was just starting up, I realized there were no good images of fun downtown landmarks available for sale. Some really boring postcards here and there, but that was it. So I started my animated downtown series, one of which is Cindy's Diner. That's a very popular one because I have the pretty much a lot of the skyline behind. But now that Cindy's has moved, I think the city should pay me to do a new one.
For sure.
Yes. Okay. La la la. Downtown series. So Allen County Courthouse was Scaliola Sky was my first one. I did the Tower Bank for Tower Bank, and then I went in when it turned over to Old National and said, hey, I'll change the little Tower Bank on there if you'd like. I'm still waiting to hear back. So let's see, Tower Bank, Columbia Street West, Henry's, Stoner's, Cindy's, J.K. O'Donnell's, Toscani's, the Embassy for Heartland Sings 10-year anniversary, McCullough Weatherhog House, which is now the United Way, the Hall Center, Tiny Tim Diner, which was gone when they expanded the library. So you kids probably won't remember that either. Okay, how am I doing on my 7 minutes? Okay, so marketing. As my 2 series built up, I started making the images into note cards. Ooh, note cards. Fun, bright images that showcase our beautiful downtown, our beautiful West Central, and at the same time advertise me. So, now I have people purchasing these fun images to send to their family and friends and supporting my advertising budget. Whoa. Later I switched to G. Clay's archival prints on archival paper. Offered a 20 by 40 size, so price hike there. Price hikes, yay! Okay, so I started seeking distributors. The Paradigm Gallery at the Fort Wayne Museum of Art has been very good to me. I've got my own little corner. Abby, who runs the place, carries 3 sizes of my reproductions of the downtown series, of course, that's the big seller. 2 sizes of note card 6-packs, my downtown poster. And in the fall, that's where I will have a book signing of my new West Central book. That's my next project. Another rate hike. So, Paradigm Gallery at the Fort Wayne Museum of Art, my big supporter. I get a check from them every month. Visit Fort Wayne has single note cards and 6-packs. Regal's and the Botanical Conservatory has note cards. Stoner's, Cindy's, and Coney Island all carry their own note cards of mine. Copy Solutions in Time Corners has my note cards displayed next to their post office window. Good spot for note cards. And Creative Frame on North Anthony sells my reproductions. So now I have a great package to sell to businesses. Not only do you get an oil painting, you get a fun image to use for advertising, and you're included in my downtown series, which means your business appears in 9 venues around town. And in various homes and gardens, homes and offices too. Wow, how cool is that? I feel another price hike coming up. Okay, so my next move is a book of my 48 West Central house portraits. A softcover book, self-published, coming out in the fall, introduced at the Paradigm Gallery, and at my booth at the West Central Home and Garden Tour Arts Fest. So it's going to be 48 full-color reproductions, 6 black and whites, a map of the location, some cherry-picked Fort Wayne history, which is really interesting. Have you ever looked at Fort Wayne history? Wow, I've really gotten sucked into that. Okay, and pertinent architectural styles defined. So I have, right now, I have 3 house portraits, which I have the down payment for, the photos done, the research done for. So those are all lined up, ready to go. I am ready to rock and roll. And if you are an aspiring oil painter, the most wonderful thing I found out being an aspiring oil painter was you don't have to use paint thinner to clean your brushes. You can use household oils to clean your brushes. You could use corn oil to clean your brushes. I use baby oil myself. Keeps your brushes nice and soft. But that was the one most important thing that helped me in my career. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diane. We appreciate it. It was very entertaining and interesting. Really appreciate the time and effort put into this. And if there's any questions, anybody have any questions written down they'd like to ask at this point? Tanya will collect those, and if there's any more. Thank you, Tanya. This is for Amber. What can I do as a mother with my 2 young children through and at Artlink?
We have a ton of arts and education programs for youth. They're all listed on our website, and they're constantly changing. 2 of our most popular are creative construction with Lego and Lego Junior. So we actually have architects teach those classes to the kids, and they come in and build amazing structures out of Lego. We also have visual art things for kids. We host a spring break art camp, so those of you who are wondering what you're going to do with your kid during spring break, we offer a full day program. You can drop them off in the morning and pick them up in the evening. They'll be fed, and not only with food, but with tons of art activities to feed their soul. We've got some cool projects on the horizon for that, and we do a kids camp in the summer as well, one at University of St. Francis and one at Artlink. So ton of opportunities for kids, trying to cultivate them at an early age to be creators of culture instead of simply consumers of culture. So just check our website. There's a classes and workshops tab, and our educational programming is there. We also have a ton of educational programming for adults too. So for those of you sitting out there who might be interested in drawing or watercolor or some other medium, always check our website. We've got new programs all the time.
This question is directed to Terry and Diane. How do you price your art?
We just had a whole round table about that.
That is the one thing that I've been asked more than anything. You could say you want to price it what you can get out of it, but you also want to price it what it's worth to you. I think Diane touched on her reproductions, which I think is very important. There's a lot of discourse with a lot of artists that some artists, they want to sell originals and that's it. They think that they're selling out if they sell prints, but I don't think so. It's like planting little bombs all over the city. Somebody sees a reproduction that this person could actually afford instead of the original, and it's just basically marketing your advertising for you. Yesterday I got a commission to paint on a food truck, and the food truck, it's like I was going to do 12-foot murals on each side of this food truck. Well, I told the woman a couple weeks ago, I said, well, I can do it for $5. She thought I said meant $500. So when she gave me a deposit check for half of it for $250, I was like, I can't do it for $500. And she was very surprised, and she was like, wait a minute, $500 is a lot of money. And I'm like, not to do that much work. So pricing your work is pretty tough. I mean, hopefully in your career, if you've sold, for years and years, hopefully you can kind of bump up your prices a little bit. And depending on who your clientele is, when I was younger and it was 20, 30 somethings that were buying my work, you could sell an original for $300 or $400, and that was pretty much the top out that you could get. Whereas now I'm selling to older people, which they can afford it. Art's not a necessity. So it's not like, you're going to be able to sell that easily, but I don't know, it's good for the soul. So I think just price your work, look at what else is comparable out there, because you can also look at other local artists, what they sell for. So I don't think there's a golden rule to it.
No, I don't.
I really don't.
I'd like to add something.
Yeah.
We just had a very engaging roundtable discussion, and Diane was actually a part of that, where we brought in panelists, and we had about 30 people in attendance talking about best practices in pricing your artwork. And my education director gave a really great example that she had been commissioned for a piece. It was a small 8x10 piece. She sold it to that person for $125. But when she figured out the cost of her canvas, the cost of her art supplies, her time, the postage, she ended up making 5 cents an hour on that painting. So one of the conversations we had during that roundtable was, you have to place a value on your time. So how much do you want to be paid an hour? And then you have to make sure you're covering the cost of your supplies. And then you have to take into consideration that you have a unique perspective and ability and talent that only you can provide. And what is that worth? That's kind of a stepping stone, the groundwork for valuing your artwork. But really, I mean, Terry walked through our gallery the other day, and a young artist had a piece up that he had priced at $300, and Terry took a look at it and goes, that should be priced much higher. Now, as a nonprofit art gallery, we do not help our artists set prices. We do not tell them what to price it. But as artists in this community, it is up to all of you to share best practices. And Terry actually then contacted that artist, and he raised his price. So, you know, the price of art, it affects everyone. And so if somebody's underselling, that affects others. You know, if somebody says, oh, well, I can get a Diane Gronert for this much, but geez, Terry charges this. I mean, there is a market here in Fort Wayne, and it's an ongoing conversation that we need to be having all the time. And Artlink's trying to facilitate some of that, but really, it's the artists in the community that really set that precedence. We don't have a lot of for-profit galleries like in bigger cities that would help artists set those prices. So if you are a young emerging artist, I would encourage you to connect with someone like Diane or Terry to get some feedback into how that should be priced.
Well, that's very insightful. I've got just a quick story about a young man I knew years ago that was an artist. He was a sculptor, and he made masks, Halloween masks, and he was really an extraordinary person. Created some really high quality product, all different types. He got his price list printed. He printed 5,000 of them, or 500, and he had 50 or 60 of these unique masks, all priced at about $75 a piece. To this whole point about pricing, no way could he produce anything like that and make money. I mean, he was just thinking, I've got to be cheap to get it out there and sell. But once you've established that low price in a price sheet that's published, it's really hard to have the prices go up. So the whole concept of negotiation and understanding that that everything's negotiable, and you can start high, and it's always easier to be at a higher price. And as time goes on, there's the whole concept too. In the beginning, there's the introductory pricing or things like that, sale pricing. Now, I don't know that there's too many artists out there putting on sales, but you do need to have a methodology to increase your price, and it's much easier to come down from a discounted or introductory price than it is to actually raise prices. Are there any other questions that anyone might have? Well, I do want to say a few words of thanks to you folks, and we've really got a good panel here. We've really covered the a broad dimension of the art community here, and a few words about the Downtown Business Club. This entity is here to help promote businesses of all sorts in downtown Fort Wayne, but it's also really about anyone that has an interest in any sort of business. If you work for a business or are part of a business, have a part of a nonprofit, most everything out there has a business model to it at some point, at some level. So our goal here is to provide information and help people understand how they can integrate and connect to any various sorts of businesses. We had a comment from our panel last week about or last month, I should say, about a man that had taken his business basically off of his kitchen table and took that step to lease and move into a creative space. The panelist last month has turned that business, through the help of his team, into an outstanding marketing company, One Lucky Guitar. So I think it's good to get firsthand the information about how one starts, whether it's guerrilla marketing or connecting to that corporate entity, or getting information from regarding co-starters, or understanding the ecosystem of the cultural district, how all this integrates from large and small to opportunity for business in downtown Fort Wayne. That's our goal, to create the vibrant urban core of Northeast Indiana, and we do that in association with people like you and this group. Also, we are taping these. This is shown on cable access. We want people to understand and know that we're interested in what you think might be an interesting topic, what you would find valuable to learn more about, and we're willing to do about anything it takes to get the right type of programming so that we can help folks understand how to be more business-oriented and monetize, make those cash registers ring in downtown Fort Wayne. So having said that, if there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and put a wrap on it for today. Thank you very much.